You probably told yourself they were waiting for you, that when you closed the gate behind you and walked back into the house, the flock stayed roughly where you left them, standing near the run, watching the door, hoping you would come back. That is what most people imagine. The truth is something else. The moment your back disappears around the side of the house, something shifts in the yard. The clucking changes. The geometry of the flock changes. The hens move into positions and behaviors you have never actually seen them in. Here is what nobody tells you. They are not waiting, they are working. It will change the way you look at every chicken in your yard. Welcome back. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, because what you're about to learn will change the way you look at every chicken that visits your yard. Today we're going to walk through 7 things that are actually happening when you step out of the yard, what the science says, what your hens are really doing, and why the picture in your head of a flock standing still and waiting is almost certainly wrong. Stay with me until the end, because the last point is the one most viewers never put together, and it changes how you understand what your absence means to them. Number 1. The flock immediately reorganizes around a sentinel. The first thing that happens when you leave is not relaxation. It is reorganization. Within seconds of your absence, one bird, almost always the same bird day after day, moves into a position with a clear sightline to the largest open sky and the longest stretch of fence. She raises her head higher than the others. She stops foraging. She is on watch. Researchers at the University of Bristol and contributors to the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science have documented sentinel behavior in domestic flocks for decades. The role rotates, but only among certain individuals. Some hens never take it. Others take it almost every time. It is not coincidence. It is not random. It is intentional. A flock without a rooster will assign the role to a hen, usually the most experienced. A flock with a rooster will let him take it, and the hens will go back to foraging only because someone is watching the sky for them. What this means for you is simple. The yard you imagine as relaxed when you leave is actually more vigilant in your absence than when you are standing in it. They were depending on you. Now they depend on her. Number 2. The dust bath becomes a social ritual. The next thing you would notice if you were watching from a window without being seen is the dust bath. Hens dust bathe more readily and in larger groups when humans are not present. The behavior is communal, deeply preferred, and tightly tied to social order. The bird who lies down first is almost always the same bird. The hens who join her arrive in a particular order. The hen who is allowed closest to her body is not chosen by accident. She has earned the position over weeks or months of small social negotiations you never witnessed. Researchers have shown that the dust bath is one of the most reliable behavioral indicators of welfare in a flock. A flock that dust bathes freely is calm. A flock that does not is under stress. And the order of bodies in the dust is the pecking order made visible. Soft, sandy, almost ceremonial. When you walk into the yard, that ritual stops. Not because they are afraid of you, because the social attention required to perform it has been redirected toward the most important variable in the system, you. Number 3. The contact calls do not stop. If you stood very still on the other side of a wall and listened, you would hear that the flock keeps talking. Not the loud cackles you associate with chickens. A softer, lower, almost continuous murmur. These are contact calls. Each hen produces them. Each hen listens for them. The University of Bristol and researchers publishing in Animal Cognition have catalogued more than 30 distinct vocalizations in domestic chickens, and the soft contact call is the most frequent. What it does is keep every member of the flock loosely tracked. Even when foraging in tall grass, a hen knows roughly where every other hen is, because each of them is quietly broadcasting. She is here. She is here. She is here. When you step into the yard, your boots become part of the soundscape. The hens shift their calls to register your position. When you leave, the calls do not stop. They simply lose one variable, you. Number 4. Foraging strategy changes by individual. Watch a flock for an hour without you in it, and you will see something else. Different hens forage differently. Some patrol the same fence line every day, never deviating. Others systematically work in spirals from the coop outward. Others hang back and only feed at the edges. This is not preference. It is strategy. Research published in journals including behavioral processes has shown that hens develop individual foraging routes and stick to them across weeks and seasons. They are not all eating from the same patch. They are dividing the yard up into zones by personality and by rank, the way a small village divides up the work of a season. When you scatter, scratch grain at the door, you collapse all of that strategy into a single competitive event. When you leave, the strategy returns. The yard becomes a quiet, distributed, intelligent system. Number 5. The rooster, or the alpha hen, performs a slow patrol. If you keep a rooster, you have probably seen him pause now and then in the middle of nothing, look up, and walk a short, straight line for no apparent reason. What you are watching is a vigilance loop. Roosters in stable flocks perform a slow patrol pattern several times an hour, checking corners, sightlines, and known weak points in the fence. They do this whether or not anything is wrong. It is maintenance. It is what they are. In a flock without a rooster, the most senior hen takes this on. She will not crow. She will not posture. But she will walk the perimeter, slowly, repeatedly, while the rest of the flock dust bathes and forages. Researchers have measured these patrol routes and found that they are remarkably consistent, like an old shepherd walking a familiar trail. The patrol is part of why your flock survives, and it is the part you almost never see, because it stops the moment a human enters the picture. Number 6. The personalities you only meet when you're not there. Every flock keeps a few hens whose real character only emerges in the absence of humans. These are the quiet ones, the ones who never come to the door, never compete for treats, never put themselves at the front. When you are not in the yard, they suddenly look different. They forage longer. They sing, and chickens do sing, a long, soft, contented song that researchers have named the food calls older cousin. They explore. They sometimes lead. What you have been seeing of those hens is the version of them that is attentive to you, the version they offer you, the version their personality permits when you are present. The hen herself, the whole hen, only fully emerges in the hours of your absence. That hen has been there the whole time. You have been meeting only one of her layers. Number 7. They are tracking your return. This is the one most people never put together. While you are inside the house doing whatever you are doing, the flock is keeping track of you. Not constantly, not anxiously, but somewhere in the architecture of their attention, your last known position and the time of your usual return are being held lightly, the way you might hold the schedule of a bus you ride every day. Researchers studying domestic chickens at the University of Bristol and at Cambridge have documented that hens form expectations about human routines and respond differently when those routines change. They notice when you come out earlier. They notice when you stay inside longer than usual. They are using cues, the slam of a door, the engine of a car, footsteps on gravel, to predict the next moment they will see you. And when you walk back into the yard, what you sometimes see, that small wave of movement toward the gate, that subtle reorganization of the flock back into its watching shape, is not coincidence. It is the result of a quiet, distributed system of attention that has been tracking you the entire time you were gone. The Cherokee, the Norse, and the Celts all said something about birds keeping watch over the houses they lived near. None of that folklore was invented out of nothing. It was generations of patient observation, seeing what cognitive science has only confirmed in the last few decades. A flock is not just a group of birds. It is a small, attentive intelligence that has decided to live close to you. And it is paying attention even when you are not paying attention to it. I am not going to tell you that you matter to them the way a person matters to another person. But I am going to tell you that you matter to them. You are part of their map of the world. You are a recurring feature of their sky. You are someone whose return they expect. Don't explain that away. The yard you look at out your window is not a passive scene. It is a place where a small, structured, watchful society is going about the work of being itself. Its sentinel is in position. Its dust ritual is unfolding. Its quiet members are speaking. And somewhere in the attention of all of them, your last known location is being lightly held. You have been living next to a kind of attention like that for years without knowing the full shape of it. Now you know. Tell me in the comments, has there ever been a moment when you walked back into the yard and felt that the flock had been expecting you? I read every one. Some of the stories this community has shared have stayed with me long after I read them. I'll see you in the next one.